Hi, I'm Ember Conley, your host for Political Peaks. I'm joined today with the Democratic candidate, Darren Parry, for our U.S. House District 1. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
The last time that we spoke, you, of course, were going through the primary and then really gearing up for the final months of the election. And as time has evolved, one of your messages has been, yes, I'm Democratic. Yes, I'm a Democrat, but I'm in a middle of the road Democrat. How has that resonated with voters in District 1?
It's been really overwhelming to see the people that would want to support me. I can't tell you how many Republicans have reached out and said, we've never voted for a Democrat ever in our life, but we're going to vote for you. It'll be the first time ever. And so, what we're in the middle of is bigger than a Republican or Democrat problem. I think we hear from the 10% the loudest on both sides of the aisle, but I think most of us reside in that middle space, and some a little left of the middle and some a little more right. But as I've traveled around, it's been overwhelmingly positive because of, look, I grew up here. I've lived here my whole life, and I know the values of the area. And so I think they reflect the people that live here.
One of the headlines that was published recently was really around conversation and dignity and bringing that back to Utah at the federal level. What are you seeing that you can do to help build community in a time where there is such divisiveness?
Well, my grandmother taught me a powerful lesson when I was young. She was a tribal elder. She said, Darren, our community is only as strong as the most vulnerable. And so I've always, that's resonated with me, and I've always taken that. And to consider those voices that are not heard very often and don't have a seat at the table. And so it's important for me that as you include marginalized groups and groups that really feel left out, I think it will stop a lot of the divisiveness we have in the country. That, Martin Luther King said, riots are the voice of the unheard. And so I understand that as a tribal leader. The government always hasn't had our best interest at heart. And so I've been able to work with them in a tone that's not confrontational, not angry, but in a way that doesn't put up defenses. And we've been able to get a lot accomplished as a tribal nation and as a group. So I just feel like that can resonate back in Washington, D.C. I may be naive to think that one man could make a difference, but I think there's a lot of people that are going to be elected this cycle that really want to see a change. And so I think I'm the perfect voice for that change.
Politics, of course, can be very ugly, and there was an earlier story that came out with some of your family members, and you handled it by saying, I was young. I certainly have grown and learned as an adult and matured. How has that experience really made you, in your eyes, the best candidate over the other candidates?
Well, thanks for asking that, because I think it's important. I hope none of us are judged at the end of the day on our worst moments. And while most of those things in those articles weren't true, it didn't matter. If someone felt slighted or if someone felt left out, who am I to say that their feelings aren't valid? And who am I to challenge that today to just bring up more hurt? So the fact that we can go on and learn from mistakes, I think, says volumes about us as a people. And some past mistakes over 20 years ago that I may have made, the fact that I'm a different person today, that I can learn from mistakes and be better, that should really be important to people, because I think all of us are in the same boat. All of us have made choices in our life that we've not been happy about, but the goal is what have I done to correct that? What have I done to grow from it? And does it make me a better leader? Because I've had those hard knocks. I've had those fires that have tempered me into the leader I am today. And so I'm not going to apologize. I've apologized for all my wrongs, but I'm not going to apologize for the lessons I've learned as a result of some of those things. And who I am today is not who I was at 40. And I think almost all of us that are my age can understand that. But hopefully we learn from those things and move on and be better people because of it.
You talk about your leadership and the maturity of your leadership. And I want to end really talking about how all of our issues right now in Utah are so intertwined, anywhere from our poverty to our health care, of course, to the increased COVID rates. And then really talking about how Utah is continuing to change as a state. What is the one quality that you possess that will help us during this time of huge disruption?
I think the biggest asset that I can bring to the table is the ability to listen and not get upset or anything else. And so I think about this, and I think about this a lot about my people. There's a reason Indian chiefs are old. And what I mean by that is they've lived a life where they don't have to know everything, and they can sit back and assess the situation and then give good, sound policy based on different perspectives from everybody that's in the group. And so I feel like that is my biggest quality, is being able to, I don't have to know everything, but I need to know how to listen to people that know things. And how do we bring those people together to make the best decision for the people of Utah and the 1st District?
I want to thank you for being on our show and taking the time. I know that this is a grueling and busy 2 weeks as our ballots have been mailed and many of them have already been received. So again, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. It's always a pleasure to come on. Thank you.
I'm Ember Conley, your host for Political Peaks. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Park City TV, on our Comcast channels 17 and 102, and over the air on channel 36.